The alien princess thought her human husband was harmless until he drew his sword. The sun of the distant planet fell in pale gold over the city of Maravan, where towers reached like fingers to the sky. Streets moved with light and sound, and alien citizens in bright robes walked alongside humans who had come to live in the Empire. Among them, Adam Carter walked calmly, his hands behind his back, eyes scanning the horizon as if he had always belonged there. He was human, yes, but he carried himself with a quiet confidence that many found hard to ignore. Though he was small compared to most of the alien nobility, there was a steady strength in his movements and an air of thoughtfulness in the way he looked at the world. Princess Alara moved beside him, floating on her thin, silken robes, her eyes bright with curiosity and caution. She was tall by human standards, graceful in every step, and carried the confidence of one born into power. Her hair was dark, flowing almost like shadows over her shoulders, and her eyes reflected the green light of the planet's twin moons. She had been raised in the palace, surrounded by tutors, guards, and advisors who often whispered in her ear about duty, loyalty, and the dangers of love. And yet, here she was, walking beside a human she had chosen for herself. The wedding had been the first time the Empire had seen a human in such a place of honor. Many nobles whispered as Adam passed by, some laughing quietly, some shaking their heads. He was soft-spoken and polite, answering questions with simple sentences and a smile that was honest but not boastful. "It is a pleasure to meet you," he had said to one alien lord who looked him over with disdain. The lord had snorted and turned away, clearly expecting the human to fail in some small way. Alara noticed Adam's calmness, how he did not raise his voice, how he did not flinch when nobles sneered at him or tried to trick him with complicated questions. He listened, he thought, and he replied. And yet, beneath the surface, Alara sensed something more. Sometimes, late at night in the quiet of their chambers, she saw Adam's hands twitch slightly when he thought no one was looking. Sometimes, when she mentioned danger or politics, his eyes would narrow just a little, like he remembered something far away. The city around them was alive with celebration. Flags of silver and green fluttered in the wind, and banners showed the princess's family crest alongside the symbol of the human homeworld. Street vendors sold glowing fruit and alien pastries, and children ran through the squares, their laughter echoing off the marble buildings. Adam paused for a moment to watch a group of children playing a strange game with floating orbs. One of the children dropped an orb and it hovered for a moment before slowly falling to the ground. Adam caught it midair and tossed it back with gentle hands. The children cheered. Alara smiled at him. "Why do you always do that?" she asked softly. "I don't like to see things broken when they can be fixed," he said simply. "Even small things." Alara laughed. It was quiet and gentle like a soft bell. "You are not like anyone I have met before," she said. "I am just human," Adam replied. He said it with no pride, no shame, only truth. They walked further into the city, passing markets filled with strange fruits, metal sculptures that moved on their own, and fountains of liquid that glowed in all colors. People stared, but Adam remained calm, his gaze steady. Alara noticed that while many nobles whispered and gossiped, Adam never seemed to care about their opinions. He only focused on her, on the people around them, and on what he thought was right. Later, they entered the palace. Towers of silver and glass rose above them, and guards with polished armor stood in rows, their weapons gleaming. The palace was enormous, larger than any building Adam had seen on Earth. He did not look impressed, though. He moved with care, noting exits, guard positions, and places where shadows could hide danger. Alara noticed, and her heart tightened. "You always look like something might happen," she said, trying to make a joke. "Something might happen," Adam said, his voice calm but firm. "You cannot trust that it will not." Alara frowned. She had expected her human husband to be polite, perhaps naive, perhaps weak. Instead, he was steady, like a rock in the middle of the river. She realized that the stories about humans being weak were probably wrong. She remembered how the nobles laughed at him during the wedding feast, how they whispered that he could not defend her if needed. Perhaps they were about to learn the truth in ways they could not imagine. The palace corridors were long and filled with echoes. Servants moved quickly, carrying trays of food or messages for the princess. Adam walked beside Alara, his steps quiet, his eyes scanning the walls and doorways. She could not help but watch him, wondering what secrets he held behind his calm expression. The first week in the palace passed without incident, and many began to see Adam as harmless. He attended meetings, spoke politely with council members, and never raised his voice. He learned alien customs quickly and adapted to the palace life with ease. Alara's advisors often whispered to her, warning that humans were unpredictable, that Adam might cause problems without realizing it. But she did not see the danger they spoke of. He was quiet, careful, thoughtful. How could someone like that be a threat? One evening, Adam and Alara stood on a balcony overlooking the city. The twin moons rose in the sky, casting pale light on the streets below. The air was cool and gentle. "Do you ever think about Earth?" Alara asked. Adam nodded. "I think about it every day. But I also know I cannot go back. My life is here now with you," Alara smiled. "You make it sound so easy." "It is not easy," he said softly, "but it is right." They watched the city in silence. Adam's eyes were sharp, noticing things she did not see. A figure moving too quickly through a side street, a shadow that did not belong, a whisper of movement in the wind. He did not speak, but he made a mental note. Alara did not notice. She trusted him completely. Days turned into weeks and life in the palace continued. Adam became a familiar presence, always polite, always steady. The nobility began to respect him only for his manners, never for his hidden strength. Some even tried to test him, seeing if he could handle a minor threat or a small duel. Adam always declined politely, never proving them wrong, never boasting. Alara often wondered why he never showed his skills. One afternoon, while walking in the palace gardens, she asked him again, "Why do you not fight when people insult you? Why do you not show them that humans are not weak?" Adam stopped and looked at her, his eyes calm. "Strength is not always shown with violence. And some battles are not worth fighting until the right time." Alara frowned, but she did not press. She did not fully understand, but she trusted him anyway. She trusted him more than she trusted the palace guards, more than she trusted the council. There was a quiet certainty in Adam that comforted her, even if she did not know why. One night, as they dined alone in a quiet chamber, a messenger arrived. He bowed and handed Adam a small, folded note. Adam read it quickly, his expression unchanged. He stood and gave it back to the messenger with a polite nod. "What is it?" Alara asked. "Just a message," Adam said, smiling faintly. "Nothing for us to worry about." Alara wanted to believe him. She wanted to believe that her human husband was harmless as everyone else did. But something in the way he held the note, the way his eyes flicked to the doors, made her wonder. She did not ask more, and Adam did not offer explanation. That night, she watched him sleep. His chest rose and fell steadily, and his hands rested lightly over the covers. He seemed so peaceful, so ordinary. Yet she felt a strange shiver, as if she had glimpsed something dangerous and powerful hidden behind those calm eyes. In the weeks that followed, small incidents occurred. Guards reported shadows moving in forbidden halls, messages went missing, and strange symbols appeared near the palace gates. Each time, Adam noticed them, always before anyone else did. Each time he remained calm, giving no sign that he was aware. Alara began to realize that perhaps the stories about humans were wrong. Perhaps humans were not weak. Perhaps Adam was hiding something, but she pushed the thought away. She wanted to believe that her husband was harmless, that he would always protect her with words and care, not with violence. She wanted to believe that love could exist in peace, even in a palace filled with danger. And Adam, as always, remained calm, as if he knew something that no one else could see. The days after the first small incidents passed quietly, but the air in the palace felt heavier. Adam and Alara continued their walks through the gardens, their quiet conversations filled with laughter and gentle teasing. Yet, Adam's eyes always scanned the halls, the corridors, and the skies outside the palace walls. He noticed things no one else did: guards who seemed nervous, shadows that lingered too long, whispers that carried a strange tension. He did not speak of it, for he knew worrying the princess without cause could create more danger than it prevented. Alara, meanwhile, tried to enjoy the peaceful moments. She took delight in small details: the way the sunlight fell through the crystal windows, the colors of the alien flowers, and the soft music that drifted through the palace halls. She often held Adam's hand as they walked, enjoying the steady warmth he gave her. To the outside world, he looked harmless, polite, and gentle. Even the palace council, who still whispered doubts about humans, began to see him as a quiet companion rather than a threat or a protector. But whispers of danger were never far away. One morning, as Adam and Alara walked through the marble corridors, a palace guard approached, bowing slightly. His armor was polished to a dull shine, but his eyes darted nervously around the hallway. "Your Highness, a message has arrived for you," the guard said, glancing at Adam. Adam took the message calmly, unfolding a thin sheet of paper. The writing was small, careful, and precise, though the symbols were alien. He read it quickly, his expression neutral. Then he folded the paper and tucked it into his belt. "What does it say?" Alara asked, curiosity and concern in her voice. "Nothing we cannot handle," Adam replied simply. His calm voice belied the warning hidden in the message. He did not explain, for he did not want to alarm her. Instead, he continued their walk as if the words on the paper were nothing more than routine palace business. Alara tried to ignore the unease growing in her chest. She wanted to trust Adam completely, and she did. Yet there was a small seed of worry. Adam was not just quiet, he was careful, too careful sometimes. And care, she had learned, could hide strength as easily as it hid fear. The council meetings that week were more tense than usual. Rival alien houses, sensing an opportunity, began testing the palace's defenses. They whispered about the princess and her human husband, questioning his ability to protect her. Some went further, mocking Adam directly during discussions of trade agreements and border patrols. Adam listened to everything in silence. He responded politely when asked questions, answered with calm reasoning, and never once raised his voice. The council members, believing him weak, laughed quietly behind fans and tablets. Alara's heart tightened every time she saw someone sneer at him. She wanted to defend him, to stand up for him, but she also trusted that Adam knew what he was doing. One evening, after a long day of meetings, Adam and Alara walked alone in the palace gardens. The alien sky was a deep violet, the twin moons casting silver light over the paths. Flowers glowed faintly, and water from the fountains reflected the stars above. The quiet was peaceful, but Alara sensed that Adam was uneasy, even if he did not show it. "Something is bothering you," she said softly, taking his hand. Adam stopped and looked at her, his eyes calm but sharp. "I have noticed people moving strangely. Some guards are not where they should be. Some messages are delayed. I do not know who is behind it yet, but I can feel the threat." Alara frowned. "Do you mean someone plans to harm us?" "It is possible," he said, voice steady. "It is never safe to assume otherwise in a palace like this." She shivered slightly, but she trusted him. "Then what will we do?" Adam smiled faintly. "We wait and we watch, and when the time comes, we act." For days, Adam and Alara maintained their calm routine. They attended feasts, visited distant halls, and met with ambassadors from other planets. Everywhere they went, Adam noticed small details: a shadow that moved too fast, a messenger who lingered too long, a window left open at night. He made quiet notes in his mind, planning for possibilities that the princess did not yet know existed. Alara, meanwhile, enjoyed the calm. She watched Adam with a mixture of love and wonder. To everyone else, he was harmless. To her, he was a mystery. She often wondered why he never trained publicly or displayed skill with weapons. She had been told humans were weak, relying on machines or luck. Adam proved nothing to anyone, yet she felt a quiet power in him, like a still lake with hidden currents deep below. One afternoon, during a tour of the palace archives, Adam noticed something unusual. Several scrolls had been moved from their usual places. He picked one up and examined it. The writing was fresh, the symbols careful but deliberate. Someone had been searching the records for information, but why? He glanced around the vast room. No one was visible, but a shadow moved across a distant wall. "Alara, wait here," he said, his voice calm but firm. He moved quietly down the corridor, his steps soft on the polished floor. The shadow shifted again, then disappeared. Adam followed, but the figure had vanished. He returned to Alara, bending down to speak softly. "Someone has been here," he said. "They were looking for something." Alara's heart raced. "Should we call the guards?" Adam shook his head. "Not yet. If they know we are aware, they may strike sooner. We must wait and watch." Alara nodded, trusting him. She had no choice. Adam's calmness, his steady reasoning, made her feel safer than any guard or council member ever could. The following night, as they dined quietly in their private chambers, a sudden alarm echoed through the palace. Red lights flashed in the halls and guards ran in all directions. Adam stood immediately, his calm demeanor unchanged but his eyes sharp. He noticed the direction of the sound, the movement of the guards, and the strange pattern of the alarm itself. Alara clutched his arm. "What is happening?" "Someone is testing us," Adam said softly. "A probe, not a full attack, but it is a warning." They moved quickly through the corridors, Adam guiding her through hidden passages and quiet stairways. The palace guards were distracted, unsure of where to go, while Adam led Alara safely past every danger. When they reached a quiet observation deck, Adam paused and looked out over the city. The lights of the capital glowed below, and in the distance, shadows moved through the streets. Alien ships circled far above, their silhouettes dark against the night sky. "They are watching," Adam said. "They want to see how we react." Alara shivered. "Are we safe?" "For now," Adam said, "but they will not stop. We must be ready for what comes next." The next days were tense. Adam continued his calm routine, attending meetings, dining with the princess, and walking through the gardens. Yet he never stopped watching, never stopped noticing small details that others overlooked. Guards began to feel uneasy around him, sensing his awareness, though they could not understand it. Nobles whispered behind closed doors, wondering why Adam remained calm while danger seemed to gather. Alara watched him closely. She could see the careful calculation in his eyes, the way he moved silently through the halls, the way he responded to questions with a quiet but firm logic. She realized that perhaps the stories about humans being weak were wrong. Perhaps humans were capable of things the aliens could not imagine. One afternoon, while Adam trained in a quiet courtyard, Alara approached him. She had always seen him as calm and gentle, but now she saw strength in every movement, even when he wielded nothing more than a practice stick. His eyes were focused, his stance steady, his movements precise. She could feel the power beneath the surface, the hidden skill that had been there all along. "Adam," she said softly, "why do you not show this to everyone? Why do you let them think you are weak?" Adam paused, looking at her with calm eyes. "Because the time will come when they must see the truth. Until then, there is no need to show them. Strength revealed too soon can be wasted." Alara nodded, understanding in a small way. She could feel the truth in his words, though she could not yet imagine the full power hidden in her human husband. And so, the palace continued its calm routine, but the tension grew. Shadows moved in the halls, whispers carried warnings, and the rivals of the princess prepared for the right moment to strike. Adam remained calm, polite, and seemingly harmless, watching, waiting, planning. And Alara, who loved him more than anyone else, began to understand that her human husband was far from ordinary. She did not yet know the full extent of his skill, the depth of his power, or the danger that would soon come. But she trusted him completely, and that trust was already stronger than any army, any guard, or any weapon the palace could offer. The city slept under the twin moons, peaceful and unaware. But Adam's mind did not rest. He had seen the signs. He had felt the threat. And he knew that soon the calm would end, and the true test of humanity and the human sword would begin. The night was quiet, but the air in the palace felt heavy. Adam and Alara had just returned from a late walk in the gardens. The twin moons shone bright in the sky, casting silver light on the marble corridors and fountains below. Adam's eyes scanned every shadow, every doorway, and every movement of the guards. Nothing escaped him, not even the faintest whisper of sound. Alara walked beside him, her hand brushing his arm lightly. She noticed his eyes darting to corners, to stairways, and to distant halls. "You are always watching," she said softly, trying to sound amused. "I cannot stop," Adam said calmly. "There are too many ways danger can appear." Alara looked up at him, her eyes filled with trust and curiosity. "But we are in the palace. Nothing should happen here." Adam shook his head slightly. "Nothing is ever completely safe. Not when people want to take what they cannot have." She shivered but did not let go of his arm. She trusted him completely, even when his words made her uneasy. She did not know it yet, but the test was coming, and soon she would see the strength that he had hidden for so long. As they walked down a long corridor toward their chambers, a soft sound reached Adam's ears. It was almost like a whisper, but it was deliberate. He paused, listening. The sound came again, a faint scuffle near one of the side doors. He held out his hand to stop Alara. "Wait here," he said quietly. She nodded, her heart beating fast. Adam moved forward slowly, stepping lightly so as not to alert anyone. His eyes caught the faintest shadow slipping across the wall. He followed silently, unseen, and soon reached the side door. Through the narrow crack, he saw them, figures dressed in dark armor, moving quickly and carefully. They carried strange devices and weapons, ones that the palace guards did not have. Adam recognized them immediately as assassins sent by a rival house. They were here for the princess. Adam's hands rested on his belt for a moment. The assassins had no idea what they were about to face. He had planned for this, prepared for this, but until now, no one had tested him. He took a deep breath and stepped back. He returned to Alara quietly. "They are here," he said softly. "They want to take you. You must stay close to me." Alara's eyes widened. "What do? "We move carefully," Adam said. "And when the time comes, we fight." They began to walk toward a hidden passage that only Adam knew. It led from the palace corridors to a secret observation deck that overlooked the city. Adam led the way, his steps silent, his eyes sharp. Alara followed closely, trusting him completely. As they moved, the first alarm sounded. Red lights flashed in the halls and distant shouts echoed. The assassins had been detected, and now the palace guards were rushing into action. Many were unprepared, confused, and frightened. Adam moved like a shadow, keeping Alara safe while avoiding the chaos. They reached the observation deck, and Adam paused to look out over the city. Dozens of figures moved in the streets below, climbing walls and scaling buildings. The assassins were careful, coordinated, and deadly. The palace guards tried to stop them, but they were untrained for this kind of attack. "They are strong," Alara said, fear in her voice. "They are skilled," Adam said, calm as ever. "But they have not faced a human like me." Alara's eyes widened. "A human? What do you mean?" Adam smiled faintly. "You will see." He reached for the sword he had hidden beneath his robe. It was simple, worn, and human. To anyone who did not know, it looked fragile. but in Adam's hands it was a weapon of deadly skill. He held it lightly, almost lazily, and yet his stance spoke of years of training, of battles fought and won, of strength controlled and refined. The assassins reached the corridor leading to the observation deck. They moved quickly, expecting the princess to be unprotected. When Adam stepped into the open, they hesitated. No one had ever seen him like this. A human, small and calm, standing with a simple sword in hand, unarmed in the eyes of the Empire. One of the assassins lunged forward, their strange weapon aimed at Adam. He moved with speed that no alien had ever seen. The blade of the assassin struck the air where Adam had just been. Adam stepped forward, his sword moving in a clean arc. The assassin fell, disarmed and stunned. The others hesitated, surprised by the speed and precision of the human. Adam did not pause. He moved like water, flowing from one opponent to the next. Every movement was deliberate, controlled, and deadly. The simple sword in his hand struck with a force and accuracy that no alien weapon could match. Alara watched, frozen, as her husband fought. She had believed him harmless, polite, and calm. Now she saw the truth. He was more than human. He was a warrior, trained and prepared for a moment like this. Every swing, every step, every strike was perfect. The assassins, skilled and trained for years, were no match for him. One by one, they fell or fled. Those who tried to fight were disarmed quickly, their weapons useless against the human sword. Adam did not move recklessly. He fought with purpose, protecting the princess at every moment. He was calm, precise, and deadly. Alara's heart pounded. She had never seen anything like this. The humans of Earth were often thought weak, untrained, and reliant on machines. But Adam was proof that humans were capable of skill, strength, and courage that no one in the galaxy could imagine. When the last assassin fled, Adam turned to Alara, his sword still in hand, his breathing steady. "Are you safe?" he asked. Alara nodded, unable to speak at first. She was filled with awe and fear. You are incredible," she whispered. Adam smiled faintly and lowered his sword. "I told you," he said quietly, "strength is not always shown until it is needed." The palace guards arrived moments later, rushing past the defeated assassins. Many looked at Adam with fear and respect. Whispers spread quickly. The human who had seemed so harmless had defeated trained assassins alone. The nobles who had mocked him now stared in disbelief. Alara stepped forward and took Adam's hand. "I trusted you," she said softly, "but I never imagined this." Adam looked at her, calm and steady. "You trusted the right person," he said. "The rest, they will learn in time." The council soon arrived, rushing to understand what had happened. They asked questions, demanded explanations, and looked to Adam with suspicion and awe. He answered politely, calmly, and without anger. He had not fought for pride or glory, only to protect the princess. News of the battle spread quickly through the palace. Whispers turned into stories and stories into legends. The human, once thought weak, had shown the power of his skill and the truth of human strength. Nobles who had doubted him began to rethink everything they knew about humans. Alara stayed close to Adam. She realized that the calm, polite man she had married was also a warrior, a protector, and a force that no one could ignore. She felt pride, love, and relief all at once. She had known he was special, but now she understood just how extraordinary he truly was. As the night settled, Adam cleaned his sword and stored it carefully. The palace was quiet again, but he remained alert. He knew this was only the beginning. The rival houses would not give up easily. They would plan, wait, and strike again. But now the truth was clear. Humans were not to be underestimated, and Adam was ready for whatever came next. Alara sat beside him, holding his hand. "I believe in you," she said softly. Adam looked at her, calm and steady. "And I will always protect you," he said. "No matter what comes." Outside, the twin moons shone down, casting silver light over the palace. The city was quiet, but Adam's mind was already thinking of the next steps, the next threat, the next challenge. He had shown the world what a human could do, but he knew that this was only the beginning. And in the quiet of the palace night, Alara realized that her husband was not just harmless. He was a force beyond imagining, a protector she could trust with her life, and a man who had changed the Empire's view of humanity forever. The night was far from over, but for now, the danger had passed. The human warrior had revealed his strength, and the galaxy had begun to notice. The morning after the attack, the palace was filled with whispers. Courtiers, guards, and servants moved through the halls, their faces a mix of fear, awe, and confusion. News of the human husband who had defended the princess alone had spread quickly. No one could believe what they had seen. Many of the nobles who had once laughed at Adam now avoided looking directly at him. Even the council seemed unsure how to speak to him, caught between fear and respect. Alara walked beside Adam through the palace gardens, the morning sun casting soft light on the flowers. Birds of strange colors called to each other from the trees. The palace fountain sparkled. It was a peaceful scene, but the memory of the night before lingered in their minds. "You did not need to fight like that," Alara said quietly. "I would have been safe." Adam shook his head. "I cannot leave you in danger," he said simply. "If I had waited, they might have succeeded." Alara looked at him, awe and love in her eyes. "You are more than anyone imagined," she said. "Even me. I never knew humans could be like this." Adam's face remained calm. Strength is not about showing off. It is about doing what must be done. The palace guards and servants had begun to talk about him in low whispers. "The human is like a shadow," some said. "He moves like the wind and strikes like lightning." Others whispered that he must be from an ancient line of human warriors, trained for generations to protect his loved ones. The council, however, did not speak so softly. They called a meeting to discuss the attack and what it meant for the palace. Adam attended, though he did not seek attention. He answered questions clearly, calmly, and without pride. The council members watched him with unease. Some realized that they had been wrong to underestimate humans. Others still clung to doubt, afraid to admit that one human could be more capable than all the guards combined. Alara sat beside him in the council chamber, her hand resting lightly on his. She could see how the council members avoided looking at him directly. Some whispered to each other, trying to understand how a human could defeat skilled assassins with nothing more than a simple sword. One of the older nobles finally spoke. "It is unexpected," he said, his voice trembling slightly. "We have never seen a human act with such skill. Perhaps we were wrong to judge them so quickly." Adam nodded calmly. "Humans are not weak," he said simply. "We may look small, but we can protect what is important to us. That is all that matters." The council fell silent. Some members were angry that a human had outshone them. Others were quietly afraid. Alara noticed how Adam's calmness made him seem even stronger. He did not boast. He did not demand respect. He simply existed with a quiet power that could not be ignored. After the council meeting, Adam and Alara walked through the palace halls. The corridors were quiet, but the air felt tense. Many guards had been reassigned, and security was tighter than ever. Adam noticed every detail, every movement, and every shadow. He did not speak much, but he observed everything, planning for what might come next. "Alara," he said softly, stopping in a quiet hallway, "the attack will not end here. They will try again. And next time they may be stronger." Alara nodded. "I know, but I am not afraid. I trust you." Adam smiled faintly. "Then we are ready." In the days that followed, Adam trained quietly in the palace courtyard. He did not show his skills to anyone but Alara. She often watched him move, each step precise, each swing of his sword controlled and perfect. She realized that his strength was not just in his arms, but in his mind, his planning, and his calmness under pressure. The palace staff began to treat him differently. Some whispered fearfully of the human who could defeat trained assassins. Others began to respect him quietly, hoping to stay on his good side. The nobles who had mocked him now approached cautiously, their smiles forced and uneasy. Alara, however, noticed something else. Adam was not just strong, he was patient. He did not seek revenge or recognition. He simply prepared, waited, and acted when necessary. She began to understand why he had seemed harmless before. His strength was hidden, controlled, and revealed only when needed. One afternoon, a messenger arrived from a distant province. He bowed low before Adam and Alara, handing them a sealed letter. Adam broke the seal and read it carefully. The message was clear. Rival houses were gathering forces, planning to challenge the princess and test the human once more. "They will strike again soon," Adam said quietly, folding the letter. "We must be ready." Alara's eyes filled with concern. "Will the palace guards be enough?" Adam shook his head. "Not by themselves, we will need to act together. You must trust me completely." Alara nodded. She already did. She had learned the truth about him. He was more than human in the eyes of the galaxy, and she knew he would protect her at any cost. That evening, Adam and Alara walked along the palace walls, looking out over the city. Lights shimmered below and citizens moved through the streets, unaware of the danger that had come so close the night before. "They will try again," Adam said softly, "and when they do, I will be ready, but I cannot do it alone. I need you to trust me, to stay close and to act when necessary." Alara took his hand. "I trust you completely," she said. "I always have." They stood together, watching the city in silence. Adam's mind worked quickly, planning for the next attack, noting weaknesses, guard positions, and escape routes. He moved like a shadow, silent and calm, always prepared. The next morning, Adam began to train with the palace guards. At first they were hesitant, unsure how to learn from a human, but Adam was patient. He showed them simple techniques, ways to defend themselves, and how to act calmly under pressure. Slowly, the guards began to improve. They watched him closely, learning not just skill but discipline, observation, and strategy. Alara often watched these sessions, her heart filled with pride. The human she had married was teaching the palace how to defend itself, how to survive, and how to respect strength that was quiet but powerful. One day, as Adam trained, a young guard approached him hesitantly. "Sir," he said, "how do you move so quickly? How do you know where to strike?" Adam smiled faintly. "I watch, I listen, I wait for the right moment. Strength is not in the attack alone, it is in knowing when and how to act." The guard nodded slowly, understanding dawning in his eyes. Adam's lesson was more than skill, it was wisdom. As the days passed, the palace became a place of quiet preparation. Adam continued to watch, train, and plan. The council tried to maintain order, but the nobles whispered nervously. The human husband of the princess had changed everything. The galaxy would never see humans the same way again. Alara stayed close to Adam, learning from him in small ways. She watched how he moved, how he observed, and how he remained calm even in the face of danger. She realized that her trust in him was not blind, it was based on the quiet truth of who he was. One evening, as they sat together in their chambers, Alara spoke softly. "Do you think they will come again soon?" Adam nodded. "Yes, but we are ready. They will not find weakness here." Alara smiled faintly, feeling safe for the first time in her life. She knew that with Adam by her side, no one could harm her. She had learned the truth about humans, about strength, and about courage. And Adam, calm and steady as always, prepared for what was coming. The rival houses would not rest, but neither would he. The palace, the princess, and the empire itself depended on him. Outside, the twin moons rose again, casting silver light over the city. The palace was quiet, but the tension remained. Adam's eyes scanned every corner, every shadow, every movement. He was ready for the next attack. He had survived the first. The second would be no different. Alara rested her head on his shoulder, feeling his calm strength. She had believed him harmless. Now she knew the truth. He was more than a husband, more than a human, and more than anyone in the galaxy could imagine. The city slept, unaware of the dangers that moved closer each day. But Adam did not sleep. He prepared, trained, and watched. He knew the truth of what was coming, and when the next challenge arrived, he would face it with the calm, deadly skill of a human warrior who had been underestimated for far too long. The city slept under the twin moons, but Adam's eyes were awake. He had watched the palace walls for hours, noting every shadow, every flicker of movement, and every sound. The rival houses had not given up. They had learned from their last failure, and now they planned a larger attack, one meant to challenge the palace and test the human warrior once more. Ilara lay beside him, her hand resting lightly on his arm. She had watched him prepare quietly, never speaking more than necessary, never showing fear or pride. She trusted him completely. She had learned the truth of his strength, and now she feared for the moment when it would be tested again. "They will come tonight," Adam said softly. His voice was calm, steady, and certain. Ilara's eyes widened. "Do you think we can stop them?" "We must," Adam said. "I will protect you and the palace, but we cannot rely only on me. We must use every guard, every resource, and every strategy we have learned." He rose and moved to the window, scanning the city below. Figures moved in the shadows, climbing walls, slipping through alleys, and gathering at points of attack. The assassins had returned in greater numbers, more skilled and more determined. They believed the palace guards alone could stop them. They had no idea what they were about to face. Adam gathered the palace guards in the main hall. Many were nervous, but they respected him. They had seen his skill, his calm, and his intelligence. He spoke quietly but firmly. "Tonight they will try to take the princess and the palace," he said. "They will be strong, but we are stronger if we act together. Stay calm, follow my lead, and do not panic. Remember what we have trained. Watch, listen, and act when necessary." The guards nodded, understanding dawning in their eyes. Adam moved among them, checking weapons, positions, and strategies. His calm presence gave them courage. They had seen him fight once, and now they believed he could lead them through any danger. Ilara joined him, standing close. "We will face them together," she said. Adam nodded. "We will. Stay close and trust me." The first wave of attackers struck just as the palace gates began to creak open. Shadows moved quickly, silent and deadly. They expected confusion, fear, and panic. What they found was calm, precision, and determination. Adam moved through the hallways, his sword in hand. Each step was calculated, each movement deliberate. The assassin struck, but he met them with skill and speed that left them stunned. His sword was simple, old, and human, but in his hands it became an extension of himself. Every strike was perfect, every defense calculated. Ilara followed closely, observing, learning, and helping where she could. She realized that this was more than a fight. It was a lesson in patience, strategy, and strength. Adam did not strike recklessly. He struck only when necessary, protecting the palace and its people with every movement. The guards fought beside him, inspired by his calm skill. They moved with more confidence, striking with precision, and holding positions that had seemed impossible before. Adam guided them silently, his presence alone giving them courage. The attackers began to fall back, surprised by the coordination and strength of the palace defenders. They had expected chaos, fear, and weakness. Instead, they faced calm, discipline, and deadly skill. Many fled and others were disarmed quickly by Adam or the guards. In the midst of the battle, Adam faced the leader of the attackers. The figure was tall, armored, and skilled, with a weapon unlike any Adam had faced before. The clash was fierce. The leader struck with strength and precision, but Adam met each strike with calm control. He moved with speed, flowing like water, striking only when he saw an opening. Ilara watched from a safe distance, her heart pounding. She had seen Adam fight before, but this was different. This was a full-scale battle, and yet he remained calm, precise, and unbroken. His skill was more than physical. It was mental, strategic, and full of foresight. Finally, Adam found the opening he needed. With a swift, precise movement, he disarmed the leader and held his sword to the man's chest. The leader froze, eyes wide with shock. "It is over," Adam said quietly. "Leave this place and never return." The leader nodded slowly and retreated with the remaining attackers. Silence fell over the palace halls. The guards looked around in awe, realizing what had just happened. They had fought bravely, but it was Adam who had turned the tide. Alara ran to him, taking his hand. "You did it," she whispered. "You saved us all." Adam smiled faintly, lowering his sword. "We did it together," he said. "The palace, the guards, and us. We acted as one." The council arrived soon after, rushing to understand the outcome. They saw the humans standing calm and steady, surrounded by palace guards who had fought better than ever before. They realized, finally, that humans were not weak. They were capable, strong, and full of courage. Alara stepped forward, standing beside Adam. "This man is not just my husband," she said. "He is a warrior, a protector, and the proof that humans are stronger than you have ever imagined." The council fell silent. Some bowed to Adam, some whispered among themselves, and others simply stared. The galaxy had underestimated humans for too long. Now they could not ignore the truth. In the days that followed, the palace recovered. The guards continued training under Adam's guidance, learning strategy, skill, and discipline. The rival houses no longer dared to attack openly. Stories of the human who defended the princess alone spread across the empire. Humans were no longer considered weak. They were respected, feared, and admired. Alara and Adam walked through the palace gardens one morning, sunlight glinting off the fountains. The flowers glowed softly, and the city below moved in quiet life. "You have changed everything," Alara said softly. "The empire, the palace, the view of humans." Adam shook his head. "I did what was needed. Strength is not for pride. It is for protection, for duty, and for love." Alara smiled, feeling a deep warmth in her heart. "I always knew there was more to you than anyone imagined, but now the galaxy knows too." Adam looked at her, calm and steady. "And now we can live in peace, at least for a while, but we must always be ready." Alara took his hand. "I am ready as long as you are with me." And so the palace returned to its quiet rhythm. The city slept under the twin moons, unaware of the danger that had been defeated. The rival houses plotted quietly, but they knew that the human warrior could not be ignored. The galaxy had learned the truth. Humans were strong, capable, and not to be underestimated. Adam walked through the halls, sword sheathed, observing, planning, and protecting. He remained calm, polite, and gentle with the princess, but beneath that calm lay a warrior ready for any challenge. The palace guards followed his lead, learning the true meaning of strength and courage. Alara stayed by his side, proud, trusting, and in awe. She had once thought her human husband was harmless. Now she knew the truth. He was more than human in skill, wisdom, and heart. He was a force that no enemy could ignore. The empire would never see humans the same way again. Stories would be told of the human who stood calm in the face of danger, who protected the princess, and who showed the galaxy what humans were capable of. And as the twin moons rose high in the sky, Adam and Alara stood together, hand in hand, ready for whatever the future might bring. For now, the palace was safe, the city peaceful, and the empire aware that the quiet human could change everything with skill, courage, and love. The night was calm, but the story of humans had only just begun.